He couldn't stop shaking. His hands trembled so badly he could no longer hold a needle. His speech had turned to slur. He saw things that weren't there, and he had no idea why, because the men who employed him did. This is the story of an entire industry, one that outfitted kings, presidents, and the upper class of Victorian society, that quietly poisoned its own workers for over 200 years. And when doctors started connecting the dots, the industry buried the evidence. This is the real story behind the Mad Hatter, and it is far darker than anything Lewis Carroll ever wrote. To understand what happened, you need to understand how a hat was made. In the 18th and 19th centuries, felt hats were the single most universal fashion item in the Western world. Every gentleman wore one. Every laborer wore one. The hat industry was worth fortunes, and at the center of it were the hatters, craftsmen working in hot, poorly ventilated workshops. The fur, usually rabbit, beaver, or muskrat, had to be matted together into felt. Raw fur doesn't do that easily, so hatters used a solution to speed up the process. That solution was mercury nitrate. The process was called kerating, named for the orange tint the mercury left on the fur. Hatters brushed it on by hand or dipped the pelts directly into open vats. The workshop air filled with mercury vapor. Every breath, every working hour, every day for years. Mercury is one of the most neurotoxic substances on Earth. It doesn't leave the body. It accumulates in the brain, the kidneys, the nervous system, and the damage it causes is slow, progressive, and irreversible. The symptoms had a name in the trade. Workers called it the hatter's shakes. It started subtly: trembling hands, difficulty writing, a slight slur in speech. Workers and their foreman dismissed it: occupational wear and tear, too much drink, old age. Then it progressed. The tremors spread to the entire body. They developed an excruciating shyness, sudden explosive anger, then profound withdrawal. Some stopped speaking almost entirely. Then came the hallucinations. Men who had been steady, reliable craftsmen for decades began seeing things no one else could see, hearing voices, becoming convinced they were being watched, persecuted. This is almost certainly where Lewis Carroll drew his Mad Hatter in 1865. Mercury poisoning was so common in the trade that the Mad Hatter had become a cultural archetype, a joke. Meanwhile, real men were dying of it. Some developed kidney failure. Some lost their teeth. Some could no longer swallow. The average hatter worked 15 to 20 years before the damage became so severe they couldn't continue. And the trade knew. The trade had known for a long time. By the mid-1800s, physicians were documenting the connection between hat making and neurological disease with growing certainty. The industry's response was not to change the process. It was to dismiss the science. Trade associations argued symptoms were caused by workers' personal habits, drinking, poor hygiene, weak constitutions. They questioned doctors' credentials. Sound familiar? This playbook attacked the messenger, manufactured out, delay regulation, would later be perfected by the tobacco industry in the 20th century. The hat trade was running it in the 1860s. In the United States, the use of mercury nitrate in hat making wasn't banned until 1941. Not because of worker protections, not because of a public outcry, but because of World War II. Mercury was needed for military detonators. Workers weren't saved because someone decided their lives mattered. They were saved because a war needed the poison more than the hat industry did. There are no monuments to the hatters. Most of them died in poverty, written off as eccentric or unstable, their neurological decline blamed on their own character. The men who owned the workshops, who knew what the mercury was doing and continued anyway, died wealthy, respected, remembered for their contributions to the textile trade. The Mad Hatter wasn't a whimsical invention. He was a portrait of a working man whose industry had stolen his mind and then told him it was his own fault. History remembers the hats. It rarely remembers the hands that made them. A young Victorian factory girl in darkness, her jaw emitting a faint eerie green glow, expression haunted and exhausted, dark factory silhouette behind her, horror and pity in equal measure. Teaser image, cinematic composition.